Hey guys, and welcome back to the greenhouse. I'm Rachel O'Leary, and this morning I went to my garden store again, and luckily today we had much better luck. Now it's raining today and the plants are all kept outside, so I just shot some brief footage for you on my cell phone. So I'm back at the garden store. You can see they have lilies as well as a bunch of marginals, but they don't have very much that can actually go underwater yet. So I'm going around and picking some plants that are a bit more unique for the edges of my containers. This is what I actually ended up picking up from that mix. I grabbed a bunch of water hyacinth, which I threw in my outdoor tubs. Those will provide good cover, good root structure for fish to breed in, provide some shade, and hopefully outcompete some of the algae that's starting in there. But for the budget bins, I picked up just a few things. Now, I still haven't figured out the best solution for hanging on those tubs, so what I've done is just gathered together some floating planting baskets. This one has been kicking around my fish room for probably 5 years, and I've just never used it, and I have no idea why. This is a 10-inch floating plant basket, which is nice because you can plant it directly with the soil in the basket and not have to worry about lining our other baskets. I also have a couple of these that I've made, which I just cut styrofoam and then stuck plant pots in, and they work pretty poorly, but we're going to give them a shot anyhow. They tend to get a bit top heavy when the plants really grow, and that's not awesome. These fabric covered ones work way better than my DIY, which is why I haven't bothered making them again for you guys. So I picked up a few water plants. I picked up this one, which is hibiscus, African rose mallow. I've never actually used this one before. It's supposed to get pretty huge. Most of these as well are good for butterflies, bees, and hummingbirds, which is important to me. I picked up some cardinal plant, which I haven't used in probably a decade, but it's really pretty. And all of these are ones that'll do well at the surface. I picked up some variegated sweet flag. I thought it might look nice in the back of the pots as it's already nice and tall. I picked up some, I think this is moneywort. Yeah, blue moneywort, which is pretty. I picked up bear root, which I have no idea what this is, but again, it's good for bees, butterflies, and hummingbirds. And it's a surface grower, and the picture looked pretty. And I tend to look at the tags for all of the plants that I purchase and see what zone hardiness they have, as in will they survive in my climate, as well as the depth. Now today at the garden store they really only had these surface plants and lilies. So we'll have to stop back to get anything that I want to go under the water. I also went into the normal garden section and just picked up a bit more creeping Jenny. It's cheaper to buy it for edging than it is to buy it as a water plant, which makes no sense. This was, I think, $4. These were about $7 each. But this same thing in the water section was also $7. It was just kept wet. And I haven't found that it makes any difference. So being cheap as I am, or thrifty if you will, I just picked it up from the regular section. So we're going to go ahead and plant these 3 little pots with what I have here, and then we'll continue to visit the garden center each week until I get all the things that I want. So let's get started. Now this is going to be real simple. It's simpler than what I did for the tubs in the greenhouse here, because I'm using these floating basket jobbies. I'm just going to add some soil, add the plants, and that's really about it. Then we'll drop it in the tubs. Now, as I mentioned, it is raining, so it may have to be a quick look. Let's get started. As a reminder, or to let you know if you're new here, I just use the generic aquatic potting soil from my garden center, which is on sale right now for $4 a bag, and it's just a nice, rich, saturated soil that's super easy to work with. So I'm going to go ahead and fill up these baskets. I found this one too, which is obviously quite used and well loved. I used to grow carnivorous plants in this before I had a bog garden. So I'll fill that one, this one, and we'll plant those first and then see what plants are left. Now I've gone ahead and filled these up just with the soil, nearly up to the edge. And then I'm going to take a look and see what the max size. This one gets about 3 feet, 4 to 8 inches, so this is a smaller one. This one gets about 3 feet. So we'll put one each of these in here. And then we'll stick some of the creeping Jenny or the moneywort, and then we'll do the other little dudes. And again, for planting these, I just take them out of the pot, loosen up the roots, and then put them in. Now, it's definitely way cheaper to buy plants online for my water gardens, but one of the reasons I like to buy them locally is that the plants come in much larger, and I can see them. I can look at them and see what I've got. And so, you know, a lot of times I will buy quite a bit of my stuff online and then pick up these accent plants or more mature plants from my local garden center to get a more immediate impact. Plus, I like to support my local store. I get a whole lot of really cool stuff there for my gardens all year round. And again, since these are all plants that grow on the edge of water, you just want to plant them as you would a normal plant. I'm going to put this moneywort in with this one because I think the blue and the red would make a really nice foil to each other. With a lot of these as well, it would be very easy to split these into portions. So if you're trying to save money, this stuff will grow really readily in our tubs. So you could certainly buy these plants, split them into portions, and then have them for multiple tubs. I tend to like to plant to capacity, meaning I just like to get as much payoff as possible for visual interest, but it's certainly not required. See, you can just split it into portions. Very easy. And I'll put this on the edge. And then it'll grow out of the basket, across the top of it, and across the water surface. And it should be really pretty. Now, it's tempting to really overplant these baskets because they look pretty empty right now. But you have to remember how big these plants will get. Just like as in our aquariums, these guys are going to grow. So you need to take into consideration the mature size of the plant. Otherwise, you're going to have to do a lot of work throughout the season to replant. Now, with this creeping Jenny, it's in a potting mix, so I'm going to try and get rid of as much of that as possible because I don't want any fertilizers to go into my tub. Again, I've never had a problem, and I just sort of shake it around until it's mainly root mass left. You can see there's a little bit of perlite and stuff like that. Perlite should be fine. But turn it upside down and shake it, and you'll get what's mainly just roots at that point to then add to our aquatic soil. Works out really well. I'll stick the whole thing in there. And that'll really be it for that one. Super easy. And then I think I'll do one more floating basket. I'm trying to remember. I think this one stayed put better. Now, because this is just a traditional nursery basket, I will have to line this with the paper in order to prevent the soil from falling out, which again, simple as shoving it in there, and then I'll fill it with soil. And as I'm filling it with soil, I'll push down the edges of the paper so they're not visible. Move these out of the way. This is a smaller plant, so I think it'll do fine on this more teetery floating basket. I'll put some Creeping Jenny in that one as well. Again, trying to make sure that I remove as much of the soil from the pot as possible from this one that was made for terrestrial growth, which again is pretty easy just by shaking it out. And then I still have this sweet flag, which I may be able, it looks like I can split it. Yeah, see, I have two. Put one here. Now, I'm not sure how this is going to work out, but I'm going to try putting it in this one with the low plants too. I think because this isn't a particularly heavy plant, it may be alright, but we'll figure it out together. And with how many tubs I have running, I can always pull it out and move it should I need to. But it looks nice. Alright, so let's go plop these in some tubs. Alright, so let's go plop these in some tubs and see how they look. So I chose to put this one with the lower plants in this muck basket tub. I think the sweet flag will be nice, and because there's not a whole lot of room for this to move around, I'm hoping it won't topple. I do also have a water lily in there. You can see it's thrown pads up to the surface. And so far so good. As this plant fills in, it should cover the entire surface of the water as well as those lily pads and be really lovely. Then I put this one over here. Now this red plant will get really, really big and fill in, and I'm hoping that it'll shade this tub nicely. And then the moneywort will grow down into the water, providing roots for fish to hide in as well as some shade. And then I put the fullest basket on the waterfall tub, just because as those plants grow, they should hide that tubing nicely. Now this one also has this elephant ear taro I picked up. I did add some Creeping Jenny to the edge of the waterfall there, and some lava rock just so it looked a little bit better. And then it has some of the marginals with Louisiana iris, water mint, as well as a Venezuelan poppy in here. And I think as these plants grow in, this is gonna be a really, really successful tub. But as always, I want to hear from you guys. I want to remind you too that you don't have to spend a lot of money. You don't have to get a ton of plants. You can get just one little focus plant and then pull some Creeping Jenny if you have it in your gardens, or pick up some Creeping Jenny or something similar to that that'll cascade over the top. And it can be as simple as allowing those plants to grow to get the effect you want. All in all, I'm pretty pleased with how things are going. And I want to know how your guys' tubs are going. You know, we are really entering into the season now. May is when the most common time for people to do tubs. So I hope that this series has been helpful for you to make it a little less intimidating and show you some of the options that you have for doing this for a pretty affordable rate. Make sure you subscribe with that notification bell on so you don't miss any of the updates on all these tubs, as well as my greenhouse, which, let's admit, is a bit wonkier of a scale in comparison to doing a singular tub.